In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the all-new Tank 5, and this is hands down the craziest Android phone that I've ever been able to take a look at over here on the channel. And at first glance, it looks like any other Android phone on the market. It actually has a really nice 6.73-inch 120Hz AMOLED display, and it's going to function like any other Android phone out there. But as soon as we get this thing out of the box, you're going to notice that this thing is an absolute hoss, and that's because this is what's known as a rugged phone, and it's packed with features like a 17,000 milliamp hour battery, infrared night vision camera, and up top here, it's got a 2K projector built in with laser autofocus and keystone correction built right into the phone. So yeah, this thing's pretty crazy, and recently I went on a camping trip to the mountains. I brought this with me, and that was one of the main reasons I wanted to pick it up. We played a bunch of retro games at night, we watched movies on it, and this thing's actually packing some really good performance with the Dimensity 9400E and 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's IP66 and IP69K certified against water, dust, and extreme temperatures. And obviously, it's not for everybody. It's a pretty big device. It does weigh a lot, given that it's got that 17,800 milliamp hour battery. But that's what you get with a rugged phone like this. But before we get into it, I do want to mention that this video is sponsored by GameSir and their all-new G7 Pro 8K PC gaming controller. This thing has been fantastic, and the version I have here is the Aim Labs edition. Personally, I just like the way this one looks, especially with that transparent teal. This thing's got everything you need for a gaming controller. It also comes with its own charging dock that dubs as a stand, and at the bottom here, you can actually place the 2.4 gigahertz dongle right in here. That way, this stays on your desk, plugged into the PC, and you've got a charging station, plus once you remove it, you've got wireless connectivity. It also comes with swappable D-pads. You get a few different choices here, along with swappable analog sticks, so you can really make it look and feel how you'd like. Plus, this fully supports GameSir Connect, and from this software inside of Windows, you can fully adjust every single button, every single dead zone here, and you can change the polling rate up to 8,000 Hz, and that's where the 8K comes in with this controller. I've been using this quite a bit for fighting games. The D-pad I opted to use was the traditional style, but you could go with any other one that comes with it, as long as it feels good to you. And for racing games, having those full linear triggers around back are great for drifting, so you can kind of feather that gas and brake. Love the way this thing's set up. It feels good in the hand. It's definitely a premium controller, and the fact that we can go wired, wireless with Bluetooth, or use the 2.4 gigahertz dongle with up to an 8K polling rate is absolutely amazing. So if you're interested in learning a little more about the GameSir G7 8K Pro PC gaming controller, I'll leave links in the description. Inside of the box, obviously, you get the phone. You also get a USB Type-C charging cable and a 120 watt wall charger. Around back here, we've got that big camping lantern, and there's a bunch of different modes here. There's actually a Toolbox application that you can go into and mess around with everything on the device. It also has some infrared emitters around back here and 3 50 megapixel cameras. We've got built-in night vision that actually works really well. Front, it's got a 120 Hz, 6.73-inch AMOLED display with up to 300 nits of brightness and a 3K resolution. The front-facing camera is a 32 megapixel. Over here on the side, we've got our power button / fingerprint sensor, so we can easily log into Android. And there's a built-in cooling system, so it does have an active fan, and it's really designed for the built-in projector, but it also cools the CPU off, so if you're gaming for long periods of time, you can turn this on. Moving over to the left-hand side, we've got our volume rocker. The red button here will turn that camping lantern on and off at any given time, plus we've got a programmable button here that we can program through software. Up top, we've got our SIM tray / SD card slot, so you can add more storage here. It's got a built-in IR blaster, so you can program this to set it up with the TV, fans, basically anything that uses an infrared remote. And of course, we've got that projector right up top. And down here at the bottom, our USB Type-C and a 3.5mm audio jack. Now, one thing that I noticed here is this actually does support alt mode. So if you wanted to plug this in to a larger display over USB Type-C, you can mirror the display here. But I've personally just been using the built-in projector because it's pretty awesome to have that integrated. Now, when it comes to the overall specs, it's definitely not a slouch because what they used here was the Dimensity 9400E. It's an octa-core ARM SoC, and we've got one Cortex X4 core up to 3.4 gigahertz, 3 cores do up to 2.8, and 4 cores do up to 2 gigahertz. This is all paired with the Mali G720 MC12 GPU, so we've got a 12-core GPU with this unit. 16 gigabytes of RAM, and over on the website they state that there's 18, plus we have a RAM boost option up to 16 or 18 depending on the model that you pick up, but I've got the 16 gig model here. 120 Hz, 6.73-inch AMOLED display with a resolution of 1440 by 3200. It's got a peak brightness in daylight up to 3000 nits. 512 gigabytes of UFS 4.0 storage, plus we can add a micro SD card. The battery here is a little over 17,000 milliamp hours with 120 watt quick charging. It'll do 0 to 100% in 90 minutes. And this thing out of the box is running Android 16. So yeah, it's definitely not a Snapdragon Elite chip, but it doesn't feel like it's a slow device whatsoever. You've got Google Play out of the box, a full gaming mode that'll prioritize CPU and GPU performance over to your games if you're going to be gaming on this thing. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be gaming on this thing for sure. Like I mentioned, I picked this up to bring it with me camping so we could game on a big projector and not have to lug another projector around. It's got everything built in that I need. And with that Dimensity, it will do GameCube, it'll do PS2, and a lot more. It's got a digital toolbox built in that'll allow you to access all of the extras on the phone here. IR blaster, it's got a level built in, underwater camera, digital tape measure. But one of my favorite things here is the super flashlight, and it'll warn you when you turn this thing on. It's going to use the built-in projector as a flashlight. There's a couple different modes here. But we've also got that camping lantern around back. And from the app, you can adjust the brightness. You can even set up a timer here. It's got SOS built in, and this thing can get really bright. As you saw, I mean, it's a pretty big cob LED around back. And this just gives you more light across the area versus the super flashlight we have up top. But the main claim to fame here, at least for me, is that built-in DLP projector. Laser autofocus and keystone correction. And just to give you an idea, I've got this set up on a tripod, and as you can see, it's going to mirror the phone screen. I will dim the lights in a bit when we get into some gaming on it, because this thing does look really good. Up to a 2K resolution, and you can see with that keystone correction, if you've got it at an angle, it'll try to straighten it out. It does a really good job here, and that laser autofocus is also really, really handy. The projector itself is only up to 220 lumens, and they do kind of measure this a bit different from, let's say, a light bulb. I'm not a projector expert, but it looks good. It's definitely not the best projector that I've seen. I mean, you get a nice projector that you plug into the wall. Obviously, it's going to be able to put out a lot more brightness than this. But for a portable projector built into an Android phone, I personally think it looks really good. And on the max brightness, I can get around 5 hours of battery life out of this thing playing games on it while that projector's on. I ran some benchmarks on this thing just to kind of get an idea of where this Dimensity 9400E sits, and on CPU and GPU, it's a little above the Snapdragon Gen 3 in some cases, so we're working with a pretty powerful little unit here that's capable of high-end emulation for sure, and high-end Android gaming. And that's the next thing I wanted to take a look at. We're using that built-in projector. I just installed Fortnite here. We're at the highest settings, 100% resolution scale, and it's running at 60 FPS. Through the projector, when I'm running this game, we can only go up to 60, but on the built-in screen, since we've got a 120 Hz device here, you can do 120 with it. So with something like this, I mean, you want to do PUBG, you want to do Genshin Impact, those games are going to run great. Basically, anything from the Play Store that you can throw at it, you're going to be able to go up to high settings. But I'll tell you, one of the main things I've been doing with this device is emulation. And here we have some GameCube. I'm using the official Dolphin emulator. We're at 1080p, and I do think we'd probably be able to push it harder. This is a mid-range game. I've got Auto Mode Elista going. And by the way, I'm just using an Xbox controller connected over Bluetooth. I also tested out a couple Wii games here and there, and so far it's been working really well with the Dolphin emulator. So it looks like that 9400E, even though we've got a Mali GPU and not an Adreno like most Snapdragons, is going to be good to go when it comes to GameCube and Wii emulation, at least up to 1080. And I'm sure with some easier to run games, we could probably go up to 3x resolution if you wanted to, but I think it looks pretty decent like it is. I've also been messing around with some PS2 emulation on this using Nether SX2. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, we're at 2.5x resolution. That just takes us up to 1080. I actually didn't even try any higher because it was fine the way it was for sure. Here's one more for PS2, Gran Turismo 4 at 1080. Really good performance here for Nether SX2. And I didn't even go over to the Vulkan backend. We're using OpenGL. With these Mali GPUs, we usually just go to Vulkan because that's where a sweet spot is with this versus a Snapdragon chip using OpenGL. And I also tested out a little bit of cloud gaming. I just wanted to see how it would look on this display, and it's not horrible. Obviously, you do get degraded graphics doing cloud gaming with something like xCloud. That's what I was using here with Master Chief Collection and Halo 3, but it was fully playable on this device, even going over the built-in projector. So yeah, this thing really surprised me when it comes to the performance. I mean, basically, it's a little toolbox. Now, again, it's not going to be for everybody. I completely understand that. And this isn't something that I would carry around with me every single day, but it's a pretty cool setup for emulation and gaming on the go with that built-in projector. And if you're interested in learning a little more about the Tank 5, I will leave some links in the description. And if there's anything else you want to see running on this, or if you've got any questions, let me know in the comments below. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. And like always, thanks for watching.